Hello, everyone. It is September 5th, 2021. I am Erica. This is Nicole. This is Par for the Discourse. We started this podcast at the beginning of the lockdown last year in March, and we're chugging along here. Nicole is in Madrid. I am in Brooklyn. So we've been comparing our cities, but we also used to live in the same city. So we're both New Yorkers and we have lots of stories to tell. Nicole, we're coming up on 20 years of 9/11. So there's been lots of reminiscing going on about just how things were, how things are now. So it's going to be a New York City focused podcast, but before we get into that, how are things there?
Yeah, back to school, back to that feeling of like fall is coming, summer's over. So I like when that happens. I like when we change and
Well, summer's over, but the warm weather's not over.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's actually really beautiful. It's like about 75 here the last couple of days. Other than the storm came and cooled it down.
Yes, which we're not big. We don't like to focus on weather, but we probably should give a quick what's the word? We should acknowledge that you're dealing with some bad storms there, or have been.
Well, I guess I did do a little bit of a going back and watching some of our old episodes, and you were talking about how it snowed really crazy in Madrid. It was very unexpected. So this is more than just weather talk. This is, the effects of global warming. And that was, do you remember watching the Al Gore movie? Did you go and, and it was that these storms were going to start getting worse. And that's a part of climate change or global warming. These crazy storms. They're way more powerful than they ever were before, hitting different parts of the country that were never really affected before. There were tornadoes in New Jersey. And yeah, lots of parts of New York were hit. But the fun, it's not funny. There's really nothing funny about it, but the subways are completely destroyed every time it rains. I don't know if it's infrastructure, because it does seem like it's when it's out in the boroughs, or at least more when the trains start to come above water. But there were problems in Manhattan too, flooding, and the photo. I think you saw them, the photos of the subway, just raining down inside the trains. Have you ever experienced anything like that in Madrid in the subways?
It's funny. The other day when you sent me something about flooding and you weren't specific, I was like, how does she know it's flooding here? I was like, she must have read something online. And then I realized, no, you were talking about where you are, because it was flooding here the same time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like about an hour out of here. I almost sent you the article, but I was like, I'm not going to depress her further with any other things that are going on in the world. But yeah, there were like 20 people that died. The cars were just like going down the.
What was it? A storm or just like
a storm?
Like, do you get a hurricane or
we got like the after effects of, like, we got a rain. Which usually when it rains here, because it's dry, it rains like very fast and that's it. But it was an all day thing. But I never experienced like being in public transportation and all of a sudden, like, either water is coming through or you have to be evacuated or anything like that.
Have you ever been stuck on the train? For any other?
Not any longer than like 10 minutes, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but I always start getting antsy, like when I'm like, come on, when are we moving? I don't think I've ever been on it more than 10, 15 minutes, but you have.
Do you remember have you ever been evacuated from a train? where you had
Yeah.
to like walk back or
Yeah.
from, okay, do you know why you
I don't
were?
remember why, but I do remember, I have, yeah.
I remember getting evacuated from a train because someone committed suicide and jumped in front of it.
Oh, that was the reason.
Not that one that I was telling you before, which I'll tell you that one. I don't even know why we were stuck at that time. I wasn't on the train that long, but they got everybody off the train real fast. It like jerked and it stopped, and it was like before everybody had gotten into the station, but you knew that you were close to, this is a long time ago. And then as we were being evacuated, they told us that somebody was, they didn't really say, they can't really say, but that happens. That happens. Another time I was stuck on a train for like a good hour was when I was in college. I have no idea why it just started going, like after we were just sitting there for so long. I've been stuck on the train for like extended amount of time where people start getting restless. But this one time there was this cable access woman in the 90s. I don't know if it was the 80s or in the 90s. Her name was Robin Bird.
90s.
And she was this older woman, and she was kind of a New York celebrity, I think, because Howard Stern used to talk about her. Why? I mean, what did she really do? I guess she kind of promoted different like strip clubs. I don't know if she was promoting strippers or what, because there'd be dancers that would come on. And it was just this cable access show, and it was kind of weird. Anyway, she was on a very, not a lot of people on the train that we were stuck on, and she was sitting across from me with her friend. And I just, the whole time I was just sitting there like, oh my gosh, that's the lady from Howard Stern. And that's the end of my story. Nothing happened.
Did she freak out, or did she say
Yeah,
anything?
she was like yelling, and like, she was just getting very, I mean, after a while, it took like a good, because you're like sitting there like, well, we've been sitting here a while. It takes a while to get like agitated, but she got up,
Yeah,
was like banging on the doors in between the car, like, what's going on? Like just yelling. And then we eventually started going, but it was a long amount of time. That's my story.
that's the thing about the subway though, or it's not like being in traffic where you can at least just look out a window and go, shit, like, all right. When you can't see what's going on, and you can't, I don't know, you can't look out a window and see what's going on. You can't say anything to anyone else because they don't know what's going on. You never know how long you're going to be down there for. I mean, it's like,
or if like just a bomb is gonna go off,
yeah.
and that
And
was
then,
my post 9/11 fear.
exactly.
Every time a train like stopped in the middle of the track, I was like, that's it.
Or people are going to start freaking out because you can never tell what nutty thing someone's going to do. And then you can't escape if someone does something crazy.
Yeah.
But,
Well, yeah, or somebody would yell like somebody had left a bag or on a, say something, see something, say something.
remember when that slogan came? The only thing I've come close to with that, and I'm sure you remember this, was the summer. It was in August, I'm pretty sure. The summer of maybe 2003, I want to say, where all the electricity went out, like all the way from like New York to Ohio. It was like,
yeah, I would remember I told you I was in Ohio. I was visiting my friend in Cincinnati.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, and I got off the plane, got to my friend's house, and she turned the TV on, and it was like a picture of Rockefeller Center with no lights, and I was like, I just left.
That was very freakish.
Yeah, because Cincinnati didn't lose power, but Cleveland did.
Yeah.
Because of the way the grid was. And I was in Cincinnati the whole time, but I was here for the other time. I remember having there was another blackout a few.
It wasn't as big as that one though. That one was like covered a lot of
it was the MTA strike, and we had to walk home. Maybe that was, I remember walking home for something from town, walked all the way back to Park Slope.
I was in an elevator. Going down on a break in between classes. This is when I worked near Madison Square Garden, when I worked down there. And I'm going downstairs. This is back in my smoking days. Yeah, I'll go outside and smoke a cigarette in between my class. Get on the elevator. Suddenly the thing stops. Nobody knows why. And it's like not, again, it's almost like the subway thing because you can't see what's going on. Nobody knows what's happening.
How many people are in there with you?
6 people in the elevator, which is a lot.
Oh my God.
Okay, now let me just paint you a picture here.
Oh,
Because at the time, and I kid you not, it was a job where I was teaching adults English. They were from all over the world, mostly from Korea, and there was an Italian woman in there with us. And one of the other teachers who was a complete pervert, this guy, like nobody liked this guy, total perv. He would like ask out the students, had a greasy mullet. That's what I remember. Steve was his name. Fit the that had to be his name, Steve with the greasy mullet. So we stop, and he's the only person that I can even talk to because these other people don't speak English, barely. And they're like, we go up or down? I'm like, no, we're not going anywhere. I'm like, so finally somebody put a radio because we got stuck. We realized we were stuck between the first and second floor. And someone who was on the first floor, like put a radio up there so we can hear what was going on. Like, because, me and Steve, Greasy Steve, thought this could have something to do, like you think 9/11 right away when something like that happens.
It was 2 years after when I saw all the lights out in Rockefeller Center on the TV. I was like, immediately, because it was the first time I had gotten on a plane since 9/11, and it was like, just.
Yeah, you get scared about that. So I was like, well, I don't know what's going to happen. So
oh my
an
God.
hour and a half.
Like near an hour and a half in the
hour and a half.
Did anybody have to go to the bathroom?
Well, this is what happened. One guy started looking at me like weird. Like I don't know if he looked like he could have snapped at any point. I start thinking thoughts like, I don't know how long we're going to be in here. Who would I eat first if I had to eat somebody?
So much worse than a subway car. Like I'm thinking, I remember being stuck on that subway car that's not confined state.
No, I'll never forget that. And then the woman from Italy, I remember, goes, do you want to see a picture of my family? Like she was just like trying to make conversation, which don't talk because there's 6 of us in here and you're taking oxygen. Okay. Like don't even talk is what I was thinking. She puts a picture up of her family next to the emergency light because don't forget there's no, we're in darkness except for that a little emergency light that goes on.
Oh my God, Nicole.
Right. And what are we talking? 100-degree weather in August? Like, so we're sweating to death. I'm thinking, who would I eat if I had to? Finally, a fireman came like an hour and a half and the phones, weren't working. Because I think what's her face was trying to call me. So they were like, we're going to pull you up from the ceiling. Like we can fit
a hatch or whatever.
Yeah, they're like, we can get you through. So I was like, well, I want to get the hell out of here first, but I didn't want the perv looking at my skirt, so I let him go. Like, you go first and then pull me up from above. We get out. I never took the elevator again going down because I did work. I think I worked on the 6th floor of like a 30-floor building. And I was like, I'm never taking the elevator again going down. Then it was mayhem. I just walked home over the 59th Street Bridge. First, I went to like a diner where a friend of ours used to work. Because they're like, we got to get rid of the ice. It's going to melt. You asked me if anyone had to go to the bathroom. At that point, I did. And what I wound up doing, I don't know why I did this, but I was walking with another girl and she's like, well, let's just go into the Plaza Hotel. Because we walked past there. And I was like, well, all right, whatever. Because the restaurants weren't letting anyone in. So I walked into the Plaza Hotel and I was like, well, this is probably the one and only time I'll ever be in here. Golden bathroom. Took a piss and left and walked home in the scorching heat. It was awful. But that's my story of being confined.
That sucks.
And never wanting to like go in an elevator again.
I had a professor in college that told us a story about being stuck in an elevator for 2 days. She was a professional dancer, and she went to this industrial warehouse kind of thing for a photo shoot. And it was really like there wasn't a lot of people, and her and this she with somebody, it was like they got stuck there. They were there for 2 days. I mean, like you contemplate like your whole life, and that it was like the most awful story. So when you told me you were going to tell me a story about it being stuck in an elevator, I was like, oh no. I'll never forget her telling us that story. It was like downtown, like Tribeca, and like a big kind of like warehouse kind of thing. It was like one of those elevators where you have to like,
Oh, yeah.
and they like, oh, cool. But there was nobody to get them. Like they were there on a weekend for a photo shoot or something. And like I don't know what, it was crazy how just like they were screaming and nobody could hear them. How does that happen in the middle of Manhattan? But it was like the 70s.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah,
So
we didn't scream, but I just was like, once I knew where we were, I was like, if this thing snaps, I have a feeling we probably won't die because we're close enough to the
floor. Oh, because you knew what floor you were on.
Yeah.
Still, I don't know. You don't know how big.
If you have claustrophobia, you won't do well.
Oh. So the firemen like pulled you up? Like, how did you get?
I don't remember who the last person was out. I don't care who went after me.
But did somebody boost you up?
Somebody boosted me up, and that's all I worried about. I was not like, in the movie Speed where they're all holding on, like pulling people up. I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm out of here.
Somebody like yanked you up by your arms.
Yeah.
Fun. Yeah. Yeah, I don't elevators. I'll take the stairs if I can.
That was a fun time.
Yeah. I remember after 9/11, I worked in this building that had like every quarter, like 4 times a year, you had to do the drills because it was like it was in Rockefeller Center, and like they just had like there was like a whole, I think that Rockefeller Center is its own zip code, you know what I mean? They have so much infrastructure around. And then just after 9/11, they had to just rework all of it was like fire drill, but then there was all other kind of drills, and it was fun. And in our office, we were the only people would come out for the drill, and we had our go bags, and we had to bring them with us for the fire drill. And then everybody else on the floor would we were like goody two shoes. Like we all had our little go bags. We're ready for the drill.
So when you're doing those drills though, don't you think to yourself, like, if anything like this happened again, nobody's going to get all orderly like that. You're just going to run for your life. I mean,
yeah, I know we'd always say like, because somebody would have to make sure that everybody was out, that, make sure everybody's here, and is anybody left in the bathroom? I'm like, if this is really going down, I'm not checking to see if Yolanda's in the bathroom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I used to fail those fire drills all the time with my class that we had to do. Like, the principal would come around and like make sure that your class was in the right place and everyone was accounted for, and you were silent. Everybody went running and nobody listened, and it was like a free for all. And I just couldn't get them to do what they were supposed to do.
And then you got in trouble.
Yeah, whatever. Speaking of which, hey, you just reminded me. I saw this documentary. I think I'm going to send it to you. Do you ever remember hearing about this woman who I can't remember the name of the documentary, who pretended to be in one of the towers and she wasn't?
Well, there was an actor who lied about.
No, not that. I know that what you're talking about. No, this woman started a group for survivors because her fiance was in one of the towers and she was in the other one. And she was with like Giuliani, and I mean, she took this thing to the utmost degree.
Oh, gross.
And they find out like the whole story was just.
I'll watch that. I'll watch that. That she, well, did her boyfriend actually die, and
He doesn't, he did
there
not
at all.
even exist. Well, I'm telling you.
Oh, gross,
He didn't
gross,
even exist. The woman was from Spain, believe it or not, from Barcelona.
motherfucker.
Unreal.
Wow. Yeah, I believe that. I
Like,
mean,
how fucked up is your life that you have to make up that you were in like one of the worst tragic places in history?
yeah. Well, Bobo, his brother died on 9/12.
Oh, that's right. No, he always,
Stolen valor.
yeah. They always teased him for that one too. What did,
It is. It's like stolen valor. It's like when you say that you're a military person and you're really not. It's kind of the same thing. I was thinking about that. Like, I have some people who served in my family, but they were only like I don't mean only, but I'm not being
they
disrespectful.
weren't on the front line.
No. I mean like not like a reserve.
Yeah.
Like they were a reserve. They never went anywhere. I don't even do they even do boot camp if you're in the reserves? Do you have to do boot camp? I think you have to do whatever, but you don't get stationed anywhere. You're not really like, you're just a reserve. And then you get all the benefits of being a veteran. And I kind of think like, well, I mean, I actually saw combat. I mean, I was there. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not. Anyway,
Phonies.
give me a fucking holiday. But it's not a holiday. It's this awful day every year. I hate it. I think last year around 9/11, I talked about how I worked at this place down in Soho, and these Texas women would come up and spend their husband's oil money and go, oh, Texans love New York. We're here to help. And they're just buying shit that they'd buy anyway and not really helping. Like this place I worked at wasn't like a mom and pop New York City business. You know what I mean?
I remember you telling me about those.
I worked at Anthropology. It's not a New York company. You're not helping
You're not
anybody.
supporting the local businesses here.
Yeah. We're sitting here with the doors closed because it smells like dead bodies outside. Thanks for your support, though. And then then their little bratty snot-nosed kids have like remember 9/11 hats on. It just was gross. To me, it was gross. I guess they felt like they were, I don't know what they thought they were doing. But I kind of feel like that, I watched the Spike Lee 9/11 thing.
Oh, how was that?
Well, I think he's trying to tie this knot of like, not tie this knot, tie this thread of like 9/11 and what New York has gone through and like what it's going through now. And just like the way that New Yorkers are resilient. A lot of like stories and accounts of like all different things, like what was going on in the hospitals, like at the very, almost like tying it together, like with how emergency response was on 9/11. I'm not,
I gotta check that out.
And just like how we were called the epicenter, ground zero. And then, this whole thing, like as far as New York was concerned, and I felt this way when we went upstate and you're talking to people not from New York. New York was way more severely impacted by all of the last year than any other place in the country, in my opinion. There's not a lot of businesses coming back. They're leaving New York. A lot of small businesses have gone out of, are gone, the places that, so my friend from LA was here last week. And I was, we're struggling to find a place that we remembered going to, like,
yeah, there's nothing that's still.
Oh, I don't know how. I think she has a cloud of like over her when she goes to restaurants. Like, I don't know. Ronnie and I go in the past before COVID, go to restaurants all the time. I think it's really part of a New York culture to go out to eat. Like you were talking about, like, cafes are very much a part of Spanish culture, and people go out to eat a lot in New York. And I've never,
Yeah.
Ronnie's also just I mean, we're very easygoing when it comes to wait staff and stuff. I don't complain about things. You know what I mean? We're just super nice to people. People aren't rude. But I swear, my friend, like every time we go out to dinner, she gets, they're understaffed. The POS system was down.
Oh, geez.
The hostess didn't have a good table for us. She could, like, it just was like one thing after another. And I swear it wouldn't bother me at all, but she gets like,
Oh, she's one of these people that's going home and writing reviews
yes, she is.
about, the charred steak and the.
Yes, she gets very upset. And I just like, I had all these memories of like in college, she would always be the one like, dividing up the bill. She just was very particular about going out to eat. And I swear, like it happened, we went to this, her friend found a place. She goes, oh, I heard this place was good. Just everything went wrong. It was crazy. I said, I can't believe the amount of times Ronnie and I go out to eat.
Nothing goes wrong.
There's never a problem.
But you're not making such a fuss about it. You're just going and.
I think she's just got bad luck when it comes to.
Or there's too much in the process of making it happen that the expectation is too high. I mean, are you the kind of person who, if you get something and it's not that great, you just suck it up and eat it and then leave? Or do you go, excuse me, like, can you take this back and start doing that? Like, because I'm not. I'd rather just go, oh, this sucked, but I'll eat it probably.
I think I've ever sent anything back. I can't think of a time where I've sent something back.
I don't think I ever have either.
Yeah. And it
would have to be bad. I mean, it would have to be like.
But it's not, it's beyond that, because that'll happen. Like she'll ask for something and the waitress will forget to bring it. And so then the next time they go, I asked you for extra, you know what I'm saying? Like, and she gets like, I asked you for another, and then she'll like remind the person. She's like, oh man.
I would cringe like for the
Yeah, it makes me.
Excuse me, the music is much too loud in here.
Oh yeah, that too. And
the temperature, it's freezing in here.
So, and then, I told you, like, I don't make reservations. I can't tell you the last time I made a reservation. In LA, in California, I don't know. It's like you got to have reservations. I don't know. I know restaurants in New York, you need a reservation sometimes, but yeah, there's so many restaurants. Like, I don't just, unless we're
some hot spot.
Or we have a lot of people. It's just the two of us. We're going to be able to get a table. And I don't mind sitting at the bar and waiting for a table either. So it's not, I don't make reservations. We made a reservation for 4 and they sit us like way in right in the front of the restaurant, and the back of the restaurant's like, she goes, well, why aren't we going in the back of the restaurant? Like it opened up and it looked like that was where the nice part of the restaurant was, like, and they sit us in the front and like the lights are out. It was super dark. And they go, here's your table. And there was like, it was weird. It was very dark. There was no lights. And it was kind of right near the hostess table. And so she just felt like, we made a reservation. Like, you should have set aside the best table. Like, I'm sure not everybody here has reservations. Like,
yeah.
If somebody goes to that trouble, you put them at like a nice table. I just wouldn't have even made the reservation to begin with, right?
For 4 people.
So, but then I'm realizing this is kind of stupid. Like, why don't you have a better table for us? The lights are out. Like, it was.
I would have just been like, is there any chance we could sit in the back? Like, that's something I would say.
So, yeah. So, and then they go, oh, well, we'll see. And then she comes back, and she said, well, it's going to be a wait for another table. It just was one thing after another. And I just thought to myself, this never happens when I go out. It just doesn't.
This sounds like the evening. And if it starts out like that, it can only go, I don't know.
Well, I'll say me and the other girl that were with her know her from different, like I've met her before, but she used to work with her. I went to college with her. but the two of us started laughing like this always happens when you go out to eat with.
Oh, okay.
We were kind of joking about it at some point, like this always happens with you.
Was it bad too on top of it all? Like,
I mean, no, actually the food was really good. It was the service. And then there was this other table complaining before we sat down. Like there was just people were, I think the service was the,
there's a person that I've gone out to eat with a couple of times. You know who this person is. And I don't know if I would say complainer, but one of those people who has to ask a lot of questions. Like,
yeah.
excuse me, can you tell me exactly what's in this? Like,
Yeah, she's like that too, for
that
particular.
annoys me too. Like, what do you mean by rustic? Like it's chopped. Like she wants to know how everything's chopped and
I don't know how it is in Spain, but it is, restaurants are really understaffed right now.
yeah.
And I could just feel it in the air there that they were apologizing to other tables, and you kind of just feel bad. So that's why I can't be picky, and I can't be like, I'm here to have a nice time. I can't be,
And you
but I swear this time wasn't her fault. Like it was kind of silly. The whole thing was, I had to laugh. I had fun.
and you come home and you go, this is why I don't go out anymore.
Yeah. This is why I said, let's just, stay home. But we had a nice visit, but yeah, it was very much like her seeing that New York is not really how she remembers it.
Of course, nothing stays the same for 20 years. I mean,
yeah. So I think we babbled about stuff for a while.
babbled, yeah.
Babbled.
We can end it off with, well, you said you saw the Spike Lee show. Now I saw.
And there's a National Geographic documentary that was really upsetting. If you want to watch that, I said I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm like a masochist. Like I watch these shows and I just sit there and cry through the whole thing. I'm like, why am I?
No, I'm not good.
Doing this to myself?
I started watching Pig yesterday because it was on. Mark Maron mentioned it too, like how. Oh, Pig! I saw Pig with Nicolas Cage. It was really good. It was a metaphor about what's going on in our lives, like. So
Nicolas Cage.
I don't know why I thought Pig, like it was going to be about a cop or something.
Yeah.
It's about a pig, but it's slow going. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through this thing, but
It's a Nicolas Cage movie.
yeah, it's clearly based on a book, and I could see probably that I could see how maybe the book might be good, but so far I'm really not into this. But I'll let you know.
Okay, I might watch that.
But I'm doing that same thing while I'm watching it with Eduardo, and I'm annoying him because I pause it every second. I'm like, look how old Nicolas Cage looks. Pause. He's like, just leave it on. I'm like, there's no dialogue. You got to comment. You got to narrate those things.
Absolutely.
All right.
It's really looking very jungly behind me right now, doesn't it?
Not any more than it usually does.
Really? Oh,
no.
I'm just saying, it looks very jungly. Everything's growing. I was going to do a plant update because I was watching the old ones and when I showed plants, I'm like, oh, some of these have really gotten a lot bigger, but maybe we'll do that next week.
See how they've blossomed.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, have a good week, and we will reconvene on September 12th.
Yes.
Bobo's brother's anniversary death.
Oh, right. Yeah. 9/12.
Yeah. 9/12. All right. Bye.